Rain in Me. Thank you for that song. My friend Jay Nielsen sent me an article yesterday. It's 100 years ago, 1915. Here we are, starting a new year, 2016. 100 years ago, the average life expectancy for men was 47 years. I've already got that beat by about 5 years. Fuel for cars was sold in drugstores only. Did you know that, Tim? I didn't know they sold fuel in drugstores for the first cars. Only 14% of the homes had a bathtub. Maybe that's why most women only washed their hair once a month back then. And they used borax or egg yolks for shampoo. Wonder how that smelled. The maximum speed limit in most cities was 10 miles per hour. Only 10% of the homes had a telephone. I think the rest of them had smartphones. The average U.S. wage 100 years ago was 22 cents per hour. 22 cents. The average U.S. worker made between $200 and $400 per year. A competent accountant could expect to earn $2,000 per year, a dentist $2,500 per year, a veterinarian between $1,500 and $4,000 per year, and a mechanical engineer about $5,000 per year. That was apparently the field to go into. More than 95% of all births took place at home. 90% of all doctors had no college education. Maybe that's why the life expectancy for men is 47 years. Instead, they attended so-called medical schools, many of which were condemned in the press and the government as substandard. Sugar cost 4 cents a pound 100 years ago. Eggs were 14 cents a dozen. Coffee was 15 cents a pound. And on it goes. It was interesting to note that there were about 230 reported murders in the entire USA. That was better, wasn't it? A lot has changed in the last 100 years. Airplanes, television, computers, the way we can communicate with one another, the way we can travel. You can worship here today and be on the other side of the world tomorrow. Things have changed. Things keep on changing. And for us, things have changed. I had a friend who every time we would meet or talk on the phone, first thing he would say was, "What's new?" And being the literalist that I am, I always thought, gosh, I got to tell him something new. I don't know what's new. Until I finally realized it's just a greeting. It's like saying, "How are you?" It's like saying hello. So I stopped trying to think of what's new when I saw him. But this morning, I want us to think about what's new. I mean it literally today. What's new for you? What's new for me? There are a number of things that are new for us this morning, beginning with the fact that the year is new. I like starting into a new calendar. Turning over a fresh page, January the 1st. Have a clean slate for the whole year. Maybe you like to look at your calendar on your phone. But we all have lying before us a whole new year, 12 months, 52.3 weeks, 366 days. Yes, this year is a leap year. 366 days, 8,784 hours. Take out that women's retreat insert. I want you to write this down on the back of that insert. These numbers, 3, 1, 6, 2, comma 400. 31622-400, 31,622,400 seconds that you have in this calendar year. Now, of course, we've already used up 86,400 seconds per day for the last 2.5 days, so we're 216,000 seconds into the new year. But don't let that worry you. You still got 31 million to go. It's a year before us full of blessings and opportunities. Those are things that are new. That's the more significant thing. We all have the year before us to do whatever goals we have, whatever intentions we have. Maybe there's things that did not turn out the way we wanted it to in 2015. We have a fresh start beginning at midnight, 1 second after midnight this past Thursday. We have new blessings in the coming year. In Lamentations, a book in the Old Testament, a book that's pretty much down in the dumps in what it writes about because the people of Israel have been judged for their sin and their disobedience. But in the midst of this book of laments, we have this wonderful affirmation of praise and hopefulness. Because the writer says, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness, O Lord. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end because they are new every morning. Every morning when we start the day with the opportunity to experience and to be aware of God's blessings in that day. They're fresh every morning. In the New Living Translation, it says, his mercies begin afresh each morning. In the Common English Bible, it says, they are renewed every morning. The blessings are always fresh. Joseph A. Bank has on their shopping bag something that intrigued me when I saw it. It says, the new tradition since 1905. And I'm thinking, how can it be new for 110 years, Unless it's their intention to stay current with the times or ahead of the times, to have a tradition that's continually breaking new ground. Well, that's what we have with God. That's what we have with God's blessings. Sometimes they're incognito. In other words, sometimes God's blessings come in a form that we do not recognize them at the moment. You know what I'm saying? We look at some of our experiences in life and think, God, why are you letting this happen to me? But then if we approach it with the attitude of being thankful in all things, in trusting that God works all things together for good, sometimes the things that we at the time thought to be detriments turn out to be blessings. God's blessings come to us, and the person who has their heart in the right place, that person is able to recognize those blessings when they're there each day. So it's a new year, and each day, 366 days, we can look forward to new blessings every morning. But also we have new opportunities to look forward to. And as I was thinking about this, I thought, maybe we shouldn't call them opportunities. Maybe we should call them God-opportunities. They are moments in life that God brings us a chance to work with him or allow him to work through us, but let him be involved in our life so that maybe our marriages are better, maybe our work and our career takes a new turn because God gives us this God opportunity. Maybe our relationships with other people go in a new and healthy direction because we allow God that chance to work afresh in our life. God opportunities. Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11 says, I know the plans. This is God speaking. I know the plans I have in mind for you, declares the Lord. They are plans for peace, not disaster, to give you a future filled with hope. That's what God wants for each and every one of us. He wants our life to be a life of peace, not disaster. He wants our todays and our tomorrows, our future, to be filled with hope. It says in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 9 and 10, but this is precisely what is written. God has prepared things for those who love him that no eye has seen, nor ear has heard, or that haven't crossed the mind of any human being. In other words, God has things in mind for us that we don't even think about for ourselves. We don't even contemplate. We haven't seen it. We haven't imagined it. But God has revealed these things to us through his Spirit. As we approach our life in this year, day in and day out, with the sense that God is alive and at work in us, it can bring to us the chance to grab hold of those opportunities. The writer of Lamentations, again, is looking forward to hope that God will restore Israel to that place that they were intended to be, but they lost because they drifted from God, they turned from God, they even rebelled against God. But the writer says, give us new days like those long ago. Now, the writer's looking back to a time when there was peace and prosperity and a sense of blessing for the people of Israel. But we don't want to go back anymore. We want to look forward because each day takes us to a new place with God. Isaiah writes, the Old Testament prophet who has a much more hopeful frame of reference. Isaiah writes in chapter 42, verse 9, the things announced in the past, look, they've already happened. That's gone. But I'm declaring new things to you. Before they even appear, I tell you about them. In Isaiah 48, 6, it says, you've heard and seen all this. From now on, I'll tell you new things, guarded secrets that you do not know. And in Isaiah chapter 43, verse 9, God says, look, I'm doing a new thing. Now it sprouts up. Don't you recognize it? In other words, the prophet Isaiah is saying, we don't want to go back to what was. We want to go forward to what God has planned for us. And Isaiah gives hints of what's to come. We've just come through the Christmas season. We've talked about how the people in Jesus' time knew from Scripture to be anticipating that God was going to do something spectacular that he'd never done before in showing his love and working out his redemptive history. So our blessings each day, the opportunities that God brings to us as we enter into this new year to grow and accomplish things that are going to enrich our lives, those are all things that are new that we can look forward to. And they are all possible because we have a new life, you and I, based on a new covenant, a new relationship with God. Ezekiel, another Old Testament prophet, looks forward and sees what God is going to do. And he says in chapter 36, verse 26, God is speaking, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove your stony heart from your body and replace it with a living one. And Jeremiah writes in chapter 31, verse 31, the time is coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the people of Israel. In other words, the prophets are seeing that God is going to do something that's going to change people from the inside out, not guide their life from the outside the way the law did. It's a new covenant, a new promise. And Jesus says in Luke chapter 22, verse 20, that has come. In the same way, it says, Jesus took the cup after the meal and said, this cup is the new covenant by my blood, which is poured out for you. And so God, in our experience, has come to us, as we've seen in Christmas, to be with us, to give us this new opportunity, to put a new spirit within us, a new life, a new heart. And so in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, it says, so then, if anyone, are you anyone? It's talking about you. If anyone is in Christ, that person is part of the new creation. The old things, they're gone away. But look, new things have arrived. That's an exciting thought. New things have arrived. Verse 18 says, all these new things are from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ, and who has given us the ministry of reconciliation. And so it's an exciting time to be alive, to know that God is alive with us. And he calls us to live each day in this confidence and expectation. It's a good practice to not try to live too far in the future in advance of where we are. We have a tendency today to be preparing for the next thing. If you're in high school, you're preparing for college. If you're in college, you're preparing for your work and your career. You're preparing to be married. You're preparing, for whatever your goals and plans are in life. And that's good. We have to prepare and plan ahead. If we're going to get to those things, we have to prepare now. But in living day to day and week by week, it's good to have a perspective that I don't have to worry about next week's tasks. I just have to do what is necessary for today. Jesus in the Lord's Prayer taught us to pray for our daily bread, our daily sustenance from God. Not enough to propel us through the next 2 months, but give us what we need for today. And as we live in the mercies that are new, fresh every morning, we experience them. Whereas if we're looking too far in the future, we miss what's going on today. So I encourage you in your life to be aware of the day, of the moment, of the people around you. Of the people around you. Not this around you. Now, it's fine to text message and be in touch with each other on Instagram and Twitter and all. But don't let a screen replace a face. As we live into this year, let's live into each day knowing that each day has the promise of God's blessing, the possibility of his God opportunities for us. And one other thing I would share, this has become increasingly important to me because I feel like it's a gift from God that we often forfeit and miss out on because we don't realize how important it is. God gave a gift that's gathered for us in the Ten Commandments when he said, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Remember the Sabbath, that's every seventh day. To keep it holy, that means set apart for a special God-given purpose. The purpose of the Sabbath is to allow us to have a day, 1 day in 7, to change our focus from work and responsibilities. Not that we just dismiss those things on the seventh day, but on the seventh day we focus on renewal, recreation, refreshment, being renewed by our time spent with God and worship with the family of God. Many people think that they've got too much to do and time's too precious and they can't afford to take a day off, so they think I can get more done in 7 days, when in reality, truth be told, we are more productive if we work hard the 6 days and allow the seventh day to be a day of rest and renewal. So I would just encourage you as you go through this 2016, you live in each moment of the day and also give yourself permission to have that seventh day Sabbath and do whatever you want. Don't be legalistic about it. You know, Jesus ran up against the Pharisees who tried to make it a binding thing. And Jesus said, no, you don't understand. The Sabbath was given for man. It's given to men and women to be able to use it as a day of rest and renewal, reconnecting with family, with friends. One of the things that I remember my dad said, my brother Dale was asking Dad, a few of his thoughts about life as, he's getting toward the end of his life. And Dad said, what would you want us boys to remember? And one of the things Dad said is, remember the Sabbath. Because when you put your priorities right and ordering your life that way, it brings blessing that we don't anticipate. As we close this morning with aware of the new things that are ours in the new year, there's a prayer that I came across that I'd used a number of years ago, and it was in my files. I hadn't seen it for a while, and I thought, this is good. It's something that spoke to me, and I share it with you this morning, hoping that it will speak to you. Anna's going to put it on the screen, and I'd like for us to pray this together as our prayer for the new year. Would you pray with me? Just one thing, O Master, I ask today. Now that the old year has passed away, and a promising new year through grace of thine, with all the dreams of life is mine. Just one thing I ask as I onward go, that I'll walk with thee, not fast nor slow. One thing I ask and nothing more, not to linger behind nor run before. O Master, this is my only plea. Take hold of my life and pilot me. Welcome to the new year. Happy New Year and blessed New Year to each of you. Let's stand together as